everybody. This is Thomas Andrick, your voice for the PPC in Whitby. So this past Tuesday, February 21st, 2023, about 20 to 25 of us attended the Durham District School Board's trustees meeting. It's open to the public. That's where they discuss issues that they want to resolve or are being brought up. In any case, anybody can attend these meetings. So we did. And what compelled me and the main reason why I attended this meeting was the case of Linda Stone, Trustee Linda Stone. I'm sure most of you are familiar with her case and her plight with the DDSB and made it to the pages of the National Post. That's where I learned of it. And to sum it up in a nutshell, she basically got reprimanded for not agreeing and not propagating state dogma. So she's the only one who has lifted her voice, made her conscience and her thoughts clear on this issue of gender ideology, the crazy ideology and the wokeism that has taken a stranglehold of our society, of our schools, and of our kids, unfortunately, through the help of the state and the schools. So the school board has been thinking of and wanting to adopt the idea that if a child was thinking of transitioning to another sex, that they would quote unquote protect these children and not let the parents of these children know what these kids are going through. So the school will become the parent of these children and won't let the parents know what struggles their children are going through. Absolute nonsense. No matter how we look at it, it's completely upside down. The state is taking over the role of the parent. No matter what you think of gender and gender transitioning, however you want to look at it, you have to understand that this is absolutely not right. The state, so the school being the extension of the state, as we see it today, and where teachers and these trustees, more so the trustees, but the teachers as well, are nothing but agents of the state, infiltrating our schools and pushing the state propaganda, pushing the wokeism, pushing this dogma that they keep jamming and ramming down our throats and making sure that we accept it. And kids start accepting it as truths because this propaganda is being told to them and these kids are being brainwashed from a very young age. So Linda Stone is the only one who has been speaking up about against this and saying that this is absolutely not right. You cannot hide these things from the parents. Children have to be protected, and parents are the ones who protect them. These issues should be talked between the child and the parent. No bearing on the school, no bearing on the teachers, nothing. They're not counselors, they're not professionals in that sense. They're not. Most of them probably do not have a psychological degree or a degree in counseling at all. Even if they did, it makes no difference. You do not hide these things from parents. Parents are the ultimate caregivers. But it seems that the schools and the state want to take over this role as well. Where have we seen that before? Oh, right. That's something my parents escaped from. It's called, we've seen it in the former Eastern Bloc, Communist Eastern Bloc. That's where we've seen it before. Where the state dictated what was to be taught, how things were to be taught, what was to be taught, the propaganda that had to be peddled in the schools. Because these states, these communist states, knew very well you have to grab the children at an early age and brainwash them. Brainwash, brainwash, brainwash. And ensure that they become good little citizens later on in their life. Not questioning anything. Do not question the state. You don't question the state, because if you do, you will be reprimanded. Look at Linda Stone, Trustee Linda Stone. She was elected into her position. And yet she was reprimanded, suspended, not allowed to take part in this board meeting that we attended. Just because she dared speak her mind, dared make known her conscience. This is the reason why she was suspended. She was reprimanded for this. Do we not have a Charter of Rights and Freedoms Isn't in the constitutions that we have freedom of conscience, freedom of religion, freedom of thought, freedom of ideas, freedom of speech, without retribution, without having the fear of being reprimanded, being bullied, being terrorized. And that's exactly what happened with Linda Stone. She was bullied, terrorized. You don't accept what we're saying. You don't accept the state dogma. You don't accept the dogma, this wokeism that we have in the schools. Well, guess what? You're going to be reprimanded. We're going to bully you until you do. And you're going to be suspended. You're going to be terrorized until you accept what we say. And if not, we're going to take it even further. We're going to make sure your livelihood is going to be taken away. Those are the next steps in this society. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen to Linda, but those are the next steps. We're going to see that happen. We already saw it at the Freedom Convoy. People's bank accounts were suspended, money taken away, livelihoods ruined because we didn't accept the state dogma. And this is what's happening in the schools. So we went there, and one of the attendees from Action for Canada, she posed the question of why in the last survey given to the students, why was there a question about their sexuality and their sexual orientation? Children in grade 4 and up were asked these questions from grade 4. That means 10-year-olds asked these questions of what their sexual orientation is. They don't even know what that is. They have no idea. They shouldn't. This was asked at the board meeting. What has that anything to do with education? How will they become better students if these things are known by adults and those supposedly teaching them? Of course, the answer was just a cut and paste state answer taken from either their website or the website for the Ministry of Education, or from wherever they took it. Cut and paste. Dry as heck. Boring. Zero life to it. I almost think that the individual who read it didn't agree with it, just had to read it because they had to. It was a must. He was told to. Like a good little state agent, he did his job. So, of course, one of the answers given was so that these individuals who have lived experiences, whatever that is, they not be bullied. Interesting. Because Tuesday, the 21st, was the day before Anti-Bullying Day, the Wednesday, the 22nd. And when all the trustees had their little pink shirts on to express that they're all for anti-bullying. Well, this individual who posed the question was quick on her feet and said, oh, that's interesting. Anti-bullying. Yes, bullying is a big problem. Well, how is it that the trustees in Linda Stone's case were bullying her? Boy, let me tell you, the chairperson did not like that answer, or did not like that question. Did not like that question being posed to her. She immediately got flustered and was basically rude, angry, and half yelling already. That is that was not part of the question. This is not to be asked here. Well, then where? Where's the accountability? Yes, she was bullied. Linda Stone was bullied. They were bullying their own trustees are bullied. They are bullied until they say yes to the propaganda, yes to the dogma, until they get the answer that they're looking for. My dear friends and supporters, these are your board trustees, your school trustees. They are yes men. Because many of them might think differently, but don't dare say anything. These are fear tactics, tactics of terror. That's what's going on in these schools. I saw it with my own eyes. We've seen it put on paper now, in the newspapers. But I saw it with my own eyes. This is what they do. Fear. They put fear in people. They terrorize them. They bully them. And like hypocrites say we don't want to have bullying in our schools. Well, they're the biggest bullies of them all. All of them. Not only are they bullies, but honestly, they are quite disturbed as well. Because then after this back and forth that was going on, the trustees got up, left. They suspended the meeting. A few of the teachers or whoever else stayed in the chamber. I asked one of them a question. I asked the individual who actually gave the answer to why it was necessary to ask those who are in grade 4 and up what their sexual orientation is. I asked this individual, I asked him, why was it necessary? Why is it not inappropriate to ask this question from a 10-year-old? I also asked him, when he was in grade 4, did anybody ask this question from him? No, they didn't, obviously. They didn't ask it from me. They didn't ask it from my brother, any of my friends, any of my relatives. Completely inappropriate. And then I asked him also, imagine if your neighbor asked your child what their sexual orientation would be. You'd be freaking out. Would you not call the cops? Of course you would. And yet for some reason it's appropriate here. It's not inappropriate. One of the other teachers then said, oh, it is appropriate. It's appropriate to ask a 10-year-old about their sexual orientation. I was blown away. I'm not making this stuff up. 20 other people heard this. 20 other people are witnesses to this individual saying it's not inappropriate to ask a 10-year-old what their sexual orientation is. Because they cover by saying, oh, it was voluntary. It's a voluntary survey. You know what? It isn't a voluntary survey. And the fact that even it coming to your head to ask a question from a 10-year-old, this type of question from a 20-year-old is quite disturbing. How that would pop into somebody's head to say that's appropriate, I do not understand. But the fact that the question was asked, I'm sure that means that they've already discussed it in school and in class. So yes, it's inappropriate. Nobody knows my child the way I know my child. I know when I shall discuss these issues with them, or they ask the question, or I ask the question, but I will know. Nobody else knows. No teacher knows. No trustee knows. And that's the disturbing part, sickening part. And I dare say this is borderline child abuse. Mental child abuse. Child molestation mentally. You're mentally molesting children. I will go out that far and say that. Yes. You're mentally molesting children. You're putting them through terror in their head. They don't understand any of this. We know that the human brain doesn't develop fully until at least we're 21. The most vulnerable, the most influential, those are the ones you're hurting. This is what you're doing to children. Be ashamed of you. You're disgusting, revolting, evil. It is evil. I'm sorry to say, but this is where our schools are, not just the public schools. Let's look at the Catholic school system as well. I'm sure most of you know Josh Alexander's plight. 16-year-old Catholic, devout, understands his faith very well. St. Joseph's Catholic school in Renfrew, Ontario. That's where he goes to school at, or did go to school. Not exactly sure what his status is at the moment, but we know his plight. He dared say that according to our faith, so this is again, Catholic student attending a Catholic school in a Catholic school board. Okay? So he dared say, according to our faith, and according to the Holy Scripture, the Holy Bible, there are only two genders, male and female. For this, he was suspended. For this, he was suspended because he didn't bend to the state dogma. He didn't listen to the state propaganda. Unfortunately, the teachers, the principal of that school, be ashamed, and the school district obviously agree. They agree with the state dogma and state propaganda. And they suspended this child, 16-year-old. Again, impressionable, right? But he's doing the right thing. He's not bending. And they don't like that. They don't like it when people don't bend to the will of the state and the power of the state. And what does the school do? Well, Josh Alexander decided, well, you know, I won't come back to school. I did no wrong. And they had him arrested for trespassing. 16-year-old. For trespassing. For wanting to go back to school, of all things. And just because he expressed his faith. Shame on all of you. You leaders are not leaders. You're state agents and puppets. That's all you are. Nothing more. Puppets of the system. Agents of the state system. You are cowards and have no will. Zero. Where did we see this happen before? I think I read it in history. Not a nice time of history. Right, let's look back. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Guess what? It happened to my parents back again. Communist Eastern Bloc, Communist Czechoslovakia and Hungary. What happened? Right. Again, making sure that propaganda, the Catholic faith and Christian faith, which of course was dominant and is dominant in Central and Eastern Europe, make sure it's broken. And where do we start? In the schools. How do we do this? We have people, our own people, infiltrate the schools, Catholic schools, religious schools, and make sure that we kill it from within. From within. We put our own people who oppose as people of faith, who oppose as good people, but from within they'll work and make sure that they destroy the kids, destroy them. You know what happened to these people who didn't bend? They were arrested, yeah, it happened. They were excluded, they were persecuted. Guess what's happening to Josh Alexander? Yep. And also their parents, eventually. The black Volga, the black car, came in the middle of the night and took people away. And you know what? We're not far from that step. We're not far. These trustees, many teachers, but especially the ones on top, education ministers, and it all comes from top. It all comes from Justin Trudeau. And that's why I'm talking about this. Because it's the ultimate leadership, the Prime Minister, who allows this type of behavior, who sanctifies this type of behavior, who sanctifies everything that happens, because he himself believes that there should be no dialogue, no discussion. People should ultimately bend to the government's will, to the state propaganda and dogma, to the wokeism that is going around. And if you don't bend, there will be consequences. We saw it at the Freedom Convo. We saw his claws come out and show the horns that he is. Very evil individual who poses in sheepskin and clothing. Very evil individual. And he will bring down the wrath of the state. We saw that by him using the Emergencies Act. No matter what the whole inquiry brings out, it's still, he used the wrath of the state. He showed that you cannot come up against the state because this will happen to you. And we see that the school boards and the schools are only extensions of the state, and it all starts there at the schools. These trustees, these directors, these principals, they're all agents of the state. They don't represent education. They don't care about the kids. They don't use parents as partners. And when it comes to the Catholic system, they don't represent the church. They don't represent their faith. They want to undermine it. They want to destroy it. So we get good little citizens when they grow up who bow to the power of the state, give up their freedoms without even knowing it. Mr. Trudeau, trustees, principals, school boards, I have news for you. We are done being nice. We are done accepting and watching you do all of this to our children. Because what you're doing to our children is disgusting. It's nothing more than propaganda. It's nothing more than you wanting to secure power. Rip our children away from us pit child against adult and against parent, make sure that there's division within the family and destroy it. We know this, but we're done. We're done accepting it. We won't accept it any longer. My friends, this is what I promise you, that I will continue on this road and continue this fight, because this fight hits home. Every issue is very important to me, but I have 3 children. They attend school here in the Durham region. I come from a family that was persecuted because they dared speak their mind, and they didn't accept the state propaganda. They didn't accept the dogma that was being rammed down their throat. They had to escape for their lives. I'm not accepting it. I will do everything that I can to protect my own and to protect this country that we came to because it was the beacon of freedom. It is no longer that. The time is here. I promise you, my friends, as the candidate for the PPC in Whitby, I will do everything that I can. I will be there with you. We will fight these schools and school boards and trustees. We will protect those who need protection. We will be next to them. Because this fight we cannot lose, and we won't, because we are the majority. I know this. We cannot be fearful. We have to speak up. And I am here to help you, and I will be in the forefront. All you have to do is we will lock hands and let's guide each other. Let's lock arms and fight for our freedoms. We need to take our schools back. That's where it starts. And we need to ensure that the state knows that we're not afraid. We are not afraid. The PPC is here for the people. It's the People's Party of Canada. The People's Party, and we're here for the people. We're the only party that is speaking up against this wokeism, this craziness, this nonsense, this irrational ideology that is taking grasp of our country. The Conservatives aren't talking about it. They're part of the problem. They accept it. They say nothing against it. They are blue liberals. That's all they are. Let's be honest. They don't care. All they want is power. Pierre Poilievre, he's only groomed himself to try to be a leader, but has not changed the party at all. It's the same old party. We're the only ones who are here for you. The only ones for the people. We will not let you go. We are with you every step of the way. We will be the vehicle. Not we will be. We are the vehicle for change. And with your help, we will succeed. It has nothing to do right now with polls. It has nothing to do with elections. Our time is now. And the time for change is now. I will keep you up to date. Please subscribe to this video, to this channel. And if you want, please become part of the People's Party of Canada, because we need your support. The link is there. And I thank you for listening. And we'll talk to you soon and keep you up to date. Thanks again, and have a great day.